Hey, folks.
Hey, folks. How y'all doing tonight?
It's Lee and Teresa from Stringfield Ridge Farm. We're going to do a video. Are we prepared for the SHTF? Some people call it LCE, life-changing event. It could be anything. It could be anything from flood, earthquake, tornado, economic breakdown, civil war, anything. Who knows what it could be? Anything, and depending on your area, what it could be for you. One thing we worry about in this area is earthquake and
tornadoes.
Well, tornadoes, they're usually small though.
Yeah, but they can be big.
Well, but you never know what's going to happen. We had an ice storm.
Snowstorms.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can happen around here that she forgets about.
In 2009, we had a big ice storm here in western Kentucky that affected the area very bad, and electricity was down for 10 days. And
some people was 20 and 30 days.
Most people were not prepared for that LCE or SHTF situation. And we kind of, a little bit was, but not really, not like we are now. So that's what we're going to talk about, though, is are we prepared now for SHTF or LCE or whatever else you want to call it?
Oh my goodness. What happened here?
Okay. Are we prepared now for SHTF?
Well, the first thing is, do you have food put back to be able to sustain you for at least a few weeks until you can get other food, whether it's fishing, hunting, trapping, or if it's summertime, do you have vegetables growing that you're going to be able to harvest in time?
And if it's not summertime, what are you going to do?
Well, you're going to have to rely on either hunting
or what you have stored
fishing,
up.
Or what you've got stored up.
Do we have enough stored up?
Well, I think we have enough stored up for at least a couple of months anyway.
We do.
And that's that's canned meat. We have meat that's in the freezer that if something happens, I can always slice it up and dry it out into jerky so that it will last over and be sustained for several years if it has to be. Then
what are we going to do about water?
Well, we've got a creek back here. So
we've got some water stored up.
We do have water stored up, but we do have a creek behind the house that if we had to, I could distill the water down. And but not only that, there is the creek itself. If I go about a mile up the creek, there is several springs that come into the creek. So I could go up there and get a couple gallons of water and bring back home.
That'd be a good idea.
If I had to.
We also have 2 wells on our property.
Yes, we also have 2 wells on the property. And I am working on buying some, what is it called?
Some like
hand pumps.
Kind of hand pump type thing.
That I can fix up in a redneck way to drop a line.
You do a lot of redneck, don't you?
Yes, I do. Drop a hose down in there to be able to suck the water up if we need to, or whatever, if we had to.
What about if we have to leave?
Well, if we gotta leave, I guess we're gonna leave. But we're just gonna pack up and bug out, and we're headed.
We know where we're headed.
Yeah, I know where best we're headed to.
We have a plan.
Then we're definitely gonna be around plenty of lakes and
wildlife
and woods,
and we have a backpack.
Yes, we have backpacks, and we have. Well, you bought all the modern fire starters for us to be able to.
Yeah, we bought some flint.
And once that there runs out, I know how to use a fire bowl to make fire from wood friction. And so we'll definitely always have fire. And I know I do flint knapping, make primitive tools, weapons, know how to tan hides, know how to make cordage from plant fibers. We know how to forage for wild foods and edibles. So, I mean, I think we're pretty much set.
But we're going to try to stay home.
You know,
we have enough stuff here.
We will definitely try to stay
don't
home
wanna bug out.
unless we're being forced out in some way.
We're going to try to stay home because we have a lot of stuff here.
Exactly. I mean, we have everything right here. I mean, within a mile from our house, it is nothing but river bottom lands that go from a mile from my house to probably 3.5 to 4 miles to the river, and it's nothing but woods, fields, lakes everywhere. Wildlife is everywhere. There are fruits and vegetables that grow around
foraging.
here.
There's a lot of foraging opportunities around here.
Grow wild around here. Passion fruit.
Elderberry.
That's
medicinal stuff.
Blackberries,
too.
dewberries.
What are we going to do if we can't get to a doctor and something happens? And
well, we're just going to do the natural, herbal, medicinal.
We kind of do that anyway, don't we?
Yeah.
So,
and I've
so
sold,
we're good on that.
I've
we're
sold
already
myself
doing it
up.
Anyway.
I've actually sold myself
yes,
up many a times.
Yes, you have.
With a needle and thread. I pulled my own teeth before.
And we have lots of medicinal in nature. We know a lot of the medicinal things in nature.
Medicinal
just
herbs
all kinds. And
that just
what
grows
we
wild
don't know
around here.
between us, I know some, he knows some. Mm-hmm. We also have plenty of books. Right back in this area back here is all kinds of books on foraging and natural healing and essential oils and herbs and whatever. We've got plenty of knowledge here between us and between the books we have. We could do pretty good, I think.
I think we would.
So what else? We've got a greenhouse going now.
Yes.
In case the weather gets colder, there is some people talking about a solar minimum. And we wanted to be sure we had our greenhouse done in case it does start getting colder. If this solar minimum, they're talking about that it's going to get colder.
It's that climate change.
and stay colder for some years. Mm-hmm. And this is in the next couple of years that it's going to start. And then everywhere is going to be a little colder than normal. So we wanted to make sure, just in case, that we have our greenhouse ready. And so we done that this year in the last month or so. We got that finished up. We store a lot of food, including meats,
we usually do a lot of jerking from deer that we get, but this year we finally ran out. But we do have deer in the freezer that,
To make
well, actually I've got deer in the freezer to make more right now, but it's been so cold outside, I've not been able to do it the way that I normally do it, because I do it in the actual primitive traditional way over a small fire that smokes it.
And we have
in the
videos
sun.
on that. We have a video
And
on
yes,
that.
we do
so
have video
check out
on
that
that.
video. We have videos on a lot of this stuff that we do, and especially
Which, I mean, if worse come to worse, I could always just hang it over top of the wood stove back here, and the heat would dry it out. That's all that you're doing, is drying it out anyway. So,
and
mean,
let's see. What about at night when the electricity goes out?
well, yeah, I mean, we have kerosene, but if the kerosene runs out, then what are you going to do?
We have
Yeah.
a lot of candles. I've got a lot of candles saved
yeah.
up.
But then what happens if that all runs out?
Well, we pull out the jar
No.
of Crisco and stick
Well.
a candle down in it and burn the jar of Crisco that burns for a
Well,
long, long
you
time.
can do that.
Melissa
You can do that.
Full House Homestead just done a video on the 72 day, not hour, 72 day candle is a can of Crisco, and she stuck a couple of taper candles down in it, and it's a big old jar of Crisco, which she also melted the Crisco and put in a jar and put 2 candles in it, and she says that will burn for 72 days. So check out her video on that.
Okay.
So all kinds of ideas.
I mean, you can also take the hooves off of the deer that you harvest, and you can boil it down to get the tallow off of it, which will basically be like a Crisco, and you can make candles out of it too.
Wow. That's that primitive stuff.
Or
that
you
he-
can also make glue out of it.
Okay.
So,
He does more
and you
primitive
can also
stuff.
make glue out of pine sap and mix it with a little bit of wood ashes.
We need to get you doing more videos on primitive ways.
Well, possibly.
That could be very educational and help some people out and prep.
But
and,
they call it pine pitch. Whenever you,
yeah. Okay.
some of them used to use little rabbit dung in it too. But
Well, we don't have any rabbit dung because we don't have any rabbits.
Oh, I can go back here in the woods and I can get plenty of rabbit dung
Okay.
and deer dung.
Are we prepared for the SHTF then?
Yes,
You think so?
I do.
Okay. I hope we don't have to find out. But we think we are. We've tried really hard to be.
If we do have to, if she ain't holding her own,
You gonna get rid of me?
I
Make
guess
me
I'll
leave?
still have to carry her.
Oh, okay, good.
So,
Oh.
actually, I'm just gonna have to
And-
make the kids.
One thing I
Pick
would
up.
like to do, though, that would help prepare us better, even, is to get our children and grandchildren on the same page of learning some of this stuff so that we can have a community when something happens and we can all take care of each other. So we try to work on our kids and grandkids on
you know,
getting
as
them
well
to
as I do.
learn these things also.
We got 3 right now that stay with us a lot on the weekends. That's 5, 4, and 3. And in the summertime, they'll go outside and they'll just be messing around, and I can walk out the door and they'll have a couple pieces of flint out there, and they'll be beating the heck out of it, trying to make arrowheads.
Learning. We're trying to teach them.
And I'm not going to stop them. I'm just going to teach them.
We're also wanting to maybe have we're going to call it a Pawpaw's survival camp. We
Yep.
haven't done that yet. We've talked about that for,
Yep.
since last summer we talked about doing that. We haven't done it yet, but we would like
We're
to
gonna
do
start
that.
that this spring.
Start teaching the grandkids
And,
survival
teach
by
them-
having a Pawpaw's survival camp.
Right.
So that's
Teach them some survival skills from the wild.
and then maybe they can help us
And,
and help us when it's time for the LCE.
Exactly.
So that's it. We're pretty
pretty
prepared.
much, yeah.
We still prepare. It's not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing thing that you have to keep preparing because you have
Right.
to rotate your stock and keep things
Exactly.
stocked back and especially water. We use our water.
I mean, you
that's
have to have-
stored also.
you have to have water.
so that we're refilling those.
And water, that's not really a big deal with us because
We have a lot of
We-
sources of water.
we have a lot of sources of water to be able to get water, even if we got to, even if it's not drinkable at the time, we have ways that we can make it drinkable. The food, there's plenty of food sources around here. As far as keeping the food, we have ways of being able to do that with drying the meat out. So, and even with any kind of fruits or vegetables or anything like that, I mean, we can still go back to the primitive way of drying your meat and then drying your berries and fruits and your nuts out and grinding them all up together and then mixing them together with a little bit of deer fat or whatever other
We've
kind of
done some
animal
of those
fat
things.
that you have.
We've tried some
And
of those
then you
things
got
and
pemmican. And it can last for,
Ever.
I mean, they found some of it that's been over 100 years old.
If you don't know what
That
pemmican is,
was-
look that up. It's survival
still
food
edible.
that lasts forever.
And I mean, you've got all your proteins, vitamins, and everything all in it at one time. And it will basically, like she says, last forever as long as it's in a dry spot. So, I mean, we can...
Learning to forage is a very, very important part of survival also, I think. I think learning to
yeah.
forage is a number one way for survival.
Oh, yeah.
So if you, wherever you live, you need to know your area of what
Yes.
you can forage in your area. And
You've got a good point there.
Yeah.
Yeah, learn your landscape, your area of what grows wild in your area, and start finding out, the different purposes, even just the wild plants that you wouldn't think would have any purpose other than just being invasive weed or something.
It still may be edible.
It may be some kind of a herb that has some kind of medicinal purpose, or it just may be a edible plant that has, different vitamins or something to it that you could actually eat if something happened.
Yeah.
To
Learn them,
give you
spot them out.
to give you some of that protein and stuff instead of sitting there and starving yourself to death when there could be plenty of edible plants all around you if it's at the right time of the year to be able to live. and
Learn them,
sustain
spot them
yourself.
out, know where they're at
Mhm.
ahead of time before something happens, and stuff like that. And
Oh, yeah.
check your water sources too, because
Yeah.
you may, I don't know where those two springs are that he's talking about, but he knows this land. He knows where there's two springs that feed into our creek. So I don't know where those are. You might need to show me.
Well, you gonna have to walk.
That's fine.
Johnny knows where they're at.
Well, that's good. Time to
That's
show
our
me?
son-in-law, so he knows where they're at.
Well, that's good. So anyway, little bit of tips there. There's so much more to learn to take care of yourself in a LCE, life-changing event. That could be anything. We're not talking about the end of the world. We're not doomsday preppers. We're
No.
not talking about the end of the world. We're talking about an ice storm or an earthquake or a tornado or whatever else. Economic collapse. Something like that. Anything like that could happen. Even something little like losing your job and not being able to get work for a little while, and you might need to know some of those things also. You might need to have some food stored back for just a hard time, a hard month. So
Yeah, definitely.
So there you go. Now,
People
I would
lose
like
their
to see
jobs
some
every
of
day.
I would like to see some of the other channels. Maybe do this video and just tell us, are you prepared for the SHTF or the LCE, and tell us how you're prepared. And if you don't have a channel and you subscribe, thank you for watching. And in the comments below, please leave us any tips or advice you have, or what you're going to do. Tell us the main thing that you're doing to prepare for hard times. And so I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. We're done.